Hey guys, welcome to our class today. I just wanted to show you just very quickly how to set up the Oxy Welding bottles and get them started. You're going to be using them for our bronze welding. I'm doing it via video, mainly because it's really hard to get all you guys actually in our little tight sort of welding bay. We physically just don't fit, so it's a lot easier to watch it doing this, and then one-on-one I'll get you to sort of show me. We'll do it together individually later on. Well, listen, this is the Oxy Welding equipment that we're using here. We've got our torch or our handpiece, and from the torch, sort of working backwards, our leads go into our acetylene and oxygen bottle. And you sort of see the acetylene, the big red bottle, the other one's a black bottle, and they're sort of typically colour coded always that way. The first thing that we need to do is actually turn on the bottles, and I think the best way to explain it is imagine the gas is like water, and you want the water, or the gas, to actually flow out from the bottles through the handpiece. So the first thing we need to do is turn on the main cylinder valve, which is the bottom one here. So we need to turn that one anti-clockwise, and we open that up. Now there's two dials here. One is actually indicating how much pressure is actually in the bottle, and the other dial is indicating how much pressure is going to be running outside the tap here. I can just crack open the acetylene tap on the torch here, and nothing's actually coming out. Even though I've turned it on there, what I need to do now is regulate how much of the acetylene is going to run out. And I can turn that on, and strangely enough, actually turn this one clockwise to turn the pressure up on the acetylene bottle. And just now you can see in this gauge here, the acetylene is coming up, and I want to turn that up to about 50. You may not be able to see that on your screen, and that's the correct amount of acetylene coming out. I've had this one turned on to get the right pressure. I'll turn that off now. I can smell the acetylene in this room here. It smells like a bit garlicky in a way. Acetylene is an odourless gas. There's no smell to it. They put that garlic sort of a smell in it, so just to sort of prevent accidents, I suppose, that you can actually smell the gas and go, oh, there's a leak, I might have to go and turn that off. Okay, it's off now. We've set the acetylene bottle up. It'll repeat the process for the oxygen bottle. It's the same thing. We're going to turn our main valve on, okay, and that's cracking the bottle open, and all that air, well, like I said before, imagine it as water, is rushed from the bottle and now into our gauge assembly, and we need to regulate how much of the air is going to run out. Because I can set it, depending if I'm doing like welding or cutting, or I can set that at different pressures. So I turn the oxygen on at the tap here to allow it to come out, and I turn this one clockwise, and this time on this gauge I want to wind this one up to 100 to there, turn it off at the main handle. I've regulated the correct amount of oxygen actually coming out. You can see in this bottle it's actually got a fair bit of oxygen actually in this bottle. This one must be reasonably full. This is how much oxygen is in the bottle. This is how much pressure is coming out, or the rate of speed that it's coming out. Okay, so we're ready to actually start lighting it up. We've got our handpiece ready to go. But before we actually do, we need to sort of check that all the other things in our welding bay are ready to go. Now, at Scotch, we've got this overhead sort of extraction unit for all the fumes, and it's super important that you turn that on to remove any of the toxic fumes so you're not having to breathe those in. Okay, so imagine I've switched the button on over here on the wall. Okay, it's actually located in, the switch is located near the doorway going into the woodwork room. So that's on now, and I can bring that down to my job and locate that wherever I like. Okay, now if you're welding, pretty obvious that you need to use the correct personal safety equipment. We've got our leather gloves, and we've got special sort of welding glasses. Make sure these ones here are broken. They don't have the dark tinted lenses. They're like just the normal safety glasses in a way. You actually want the ones with a nice dark lens that flips up and down. Okay, the light that comes off this torch is very bright, and you don't want to be sort of causing any eye injuries damage just from basically sunburning your eyes. So you need your proper welding glasses. I'm just going to put them back down here for now. Using the welder is going to be another demonstration, but just for today we're just going to be lighting the actual welder up. To light it up, I've got my flint, okay, and I can grab my flint in one hand and I can do this. If you have trouble doing it, you might find it easier to rest it on the vise and push down that way. A lot of kids think it's great, they can do it with two hands, they can go like this with two hands, but then they don't have a third hand to turn the torch on. So you've really got to learn how to do that with one hand. In the other hand, same thing, you've got to be able to turn these taps on with one hand instead of having to use two hands. So I can now, the acetylene, which is the red one, I just want to crack that valve open a little tiny bit. I can feel it on my arm that it's running out, and light that up. And you can see there's quite a bit of black smoke running out. I want to turn the acetylene up until the black smoke disappears. Okay? If I go do that again, there's the black smoke, and I want to bring the acetylene up just until the black smoke disappears, and that's about the right amount of acetylene coming out. Not too much, obviously, just enough. Then that's the carbidizing flames. The acetylene does have a lot of carbon in it. We want to neutralise that flame by bringing some oxygen into it. And we need to have the equal amount of oxygen as what there is acetylene. So I'm going to now turn in very slowly. I'm going to turn in the oxygen and have a look at the flame. It's all feathery and all over the place at the moment. It's quite like a dirty flame, you could say. And I'm going to turn it in really slowly. Oh, that was a bit fast. And you can see now all those feathers have sort of slightly disappeared. And if you have a close look, I'm not sure how well you can see in the video, there's a real bright blue tip where my fingernail is, and there's another blue tip sort of out here where my fingernail is, then there's all this sort of side product. I'm just going to turn the acetylene up, and what I want to do to get the right amount of oxygen as what there is acetylene to neutralise the flame, I want to bring this blue tip back to this blue tip. So I'm going to turn the acetylene up, just slowly, and you see that come back then? I'll do it again in case you missed it. Bring it back until that big tip is in line with the little tip. And what we've done now is neutralise the flame, same amount of oxygen as what there is, like the acetylene coming out. That's really important that we do that for a welding process. As the metal melts, I suppose it's exposed to the oxygen in the environment, and you don't want sort of impurities and that sort of being absorbed by your weld, and it makes your weld look bad. So we're ready to go. Okay, I don't want to do too much more today, but this is the bronze welding rod that we're using. Okay, you can use all different sorts of filler rod, but we're using bronze. The first thing I always do with the bronze rod, when you're wearing these dark glasses, you might be welding away like this, and it's quite a common thing that you poke the bronze rod straight in your eyeball. Or underneath your welding glasses and in your eye somewhere. So the best thing that you can do is get this and turn the end over like so, and then that way it sort of prevents the bronze rod going into your eye. Okay, we're ready to go with our bronze welding rod. The other thing that we're going to need is our flux. Okay, if I just balance the flux there, just for the purpose of you guys who have been able to see it on the camera, you want to put the flux on the bronze welding rod. Okay, I'm just going to lightly heat the bronze welding rod up. Okay, and then if I poke it in the flux container, ooh, okay, the flux is now on the bronze welding rod, and I'm ready to weld. Okay, without the flux, the bronze welding rod will melt, but it won't actually go and join onto the metal exactly where you want it. Okay, so let's leave it there for now. You're going to come into the actual bay individually with me, and I can show you actually the actual welding process on your project. So let's turn it off. The opposite way to turning it off. The last thing we did, we added the oxygen into the acetylene. So we want to go in reverse now. I'm going to turn the oxygen off first, turn the acetylene off first, secondly, flame is now off. I can now turn the bottles off at the tap, so there's no oxygen or acetylene running through the actual pipe. There's still gas in between where I've just shut it off to the handpiece, so I need to run all that out, and you see the pressure drop in the gauge, and you can hear that the gas is now gone from the system. I can turn these off. And I just want to back that pressure off these gauges so there's no pressure left on the gauges, and where it's safe to walk away from here. And put the handpiece down, and we're really ready to leave. Guys, thank you for listening. I know that was a bit of a long talk and you really want to get into welding yourself, but I really hope you picked up some good points from it. Okay, bye bye.